All right, ladies and gents, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Bentrud. We're starting this week late, but we're going to get 3 videos out. This is going to be a pretty simple one, why 1 plus 1 does not always equal 2. We're going to explain this very shortly. And yes, I just got back from break, so that's why I was kind of late on making some videos this week. So I want to talk about this because it's pretty important. You know, you are watching this right now and you're watching me create this YouTube video. And if you've watched other videos, great. You're probably doing this because you want to learn. And the specific thing I'm trying to help people with this channel is how to grow your agency. All right, how do you take your agency to the next level? Last month, our agency did around $115,000 in revenue. I don't know what our margins were exactly. We don't have all the data that is in yet, but it's pretty good. And it's very hard to become a great teacher because of this. And I've only really learned this in the last 6 months. So if someone is successful and they want to teach other people how to be successful, the first thing that you do is you say, the first common mistake that teachers will make is they'll say, hey, this is how I did it. Now you can go and follow this blueprint too. And so they give a very specific, rigid pathway to success. Okay, so just very basic. This is the teacher, and they crossed this bridge, and they crossed that bridge using method A, and that's how they achieved S, which is, let's just say, success. And in business, let's just call that making a decent amount of money. That's great. The problem is method A was highly contextual to working for this specific person, their personality type, their business model, their niche, their environment, their country, their language. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. It's not just this one thing. And yet they will try to teach this one specific thing to be the direct cause of their success. And they think that if other people just do this one thing, everybody's going to be able to cross the same bridge that they did. But it's usually not how it works, okay? So I want to kind of just make sure that you're aware of this. So subject 1 is successful. Subject 1 decides to teach how to be successful. Subject 1 thinks that method A was the primary cause of their success, although there's many different things to achieve this. And so they will teach that to everybody, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with teaching a method. A method can work for some people and not work for others. And that's great. But what you start to see in some teachers, like even me, I have this bias as well, is the man with a hammer syndrome. So for me, all of my competence lies within a very small circle, very, very, very small circle on scaling a done-for-you service, an agency. Okay, that's what I know. That's what I've been trying to do for 3-4 years now. And that's all I know. And so with that comes experience in this little tiny circle, it's just a speck of what you could understand or decide to gain skills upon on this planet. And so when I look at a problem, I see it through my lens. This is imagine this is my lens. If you put on these glasses, you could see, or you would know everything I know, and you'd think everything I think, and you wouldn't know anything, and you would just have my consciousness. Well, when you put on these lenses, all you see is solutions to problems that fit what is in your tool belt. And so if to the man who just has a hammer, everything looks like a nail, that's pretty simple. Now, how can you combat this psychological bias, I guess, if you will? Principles and mental models. By teaching principles and mental models and doing your best to explain context and ensure everyone is aware that the map is not the territory, which, by the way, is an actual principle that you should be aware of. That is how you can combat this and become a better teacher. And so what I try to do with this YouTube channel, and what I'm going to try to do in the future, especially with Agency Enlightened, compared to the first version of the program, version 2, which is Agency Enlightened, is going to heavily focus on trying to not be so specific and say do A, B, and C, but it's going to try to tell you, processes and mental models that will help you form your own A, your own B, and your own C. Okay, so yes, there will be how-tos on A, B, and C, and client outreach strategies and hiring strategies and etc. But more importantly, I'm also going to teach you the mental model that allowed me to build that system, right? Because if I give you this SOP, you can follow it, and maybe you'll get great results. For example, if I give you a strategy on how to get discovery calls or sign clients, maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. But what's actually more valuable than that, and what teachers should be teaching, is how that person came up with that SOP. How did they like build that? How did they even come to the conclusion? Because if I can teach you that, if I can teach you how I personally came up with my own processes, and by all means, I didn't come up with a lot. The reason why our agency is where it is today is largely because of the team that we have. That's amazing. But if I can teach you how to come up with your own processes, that's where you'll actually really thrive. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Agency Light. And that's why it's taken me so long to build this damn thing, and why it's going to be delayed, is because it's hard to give context in that way where you can understand what to do. So what really this is all about, here's a few things that might help you see this and understand this. You want to see the whole instead of the part. So when you see a teacher who just says, you can do A and you'll likely get B, that person is teaching one part. The 99% whole, which is way harder to teach, is how did that teacher actually come up with that process? Okay, what was the thought forms? What was the mental models? Because everybody's niche, everybody's service, everybody's environment, their country, their language, everything, it's so different, right? And so you need to not teach them the specific process. You just need to teach them how you actually came up with the process. All right. That's more important. So we're going to do both Agency and Enlighten, but that's one important thing you can think of. The other thing is just to know your strengths and know your seat. So I'm analytical. I like building systems. I like putting chaos into order. That's where I will thrive. And so for me, that's where I should stick to. That's my core competency. And fortunately, the agency is big enough where we have enough team members where I can mostly sit in that seat. In the very beginning, I had to sit in all different kinds of seats, and I wasn't very good at some seats. But fortunately, I grew the agency to a point where I could then just sit down in my one great seat, which is like building systems and putting chaos into order. Great. To do that, to know your strengths and know your seat in the agency, you can take personality tests, the COBA, the Clifton Strengths. There's visionary versus integrator, and you also need to be paying attention to the feedback you get from your teammates. That's also very important. Now, the last thing is just courses in general. This is, again, another just example. When it's rigidly built, when the teacher is saying do A and you'll get B and C, instead of, hey, here, you can do A, this is one method, it may or may not work for you, but more importantly, here's how I came up with this method in our agency. It worked for us, but you may not see the same success, and so I want to teach you how I came up with this so you can understand the how, and you can come up with something that is unique and special to your own. Because in general, doing what everybody else does is not really the best strategy. Coming up with your own process, your own solution, is always going to be better. You don't want to try to copy what someone else is doing. You can in some cases, and in some cases it'll work great. That's fine. But what's better is to not give someone a fish, but teach them how to fish. All right? Ladies and gents, that is my spew or blab of the day. Hopefully you found this valuable. Now, why does this relate to 1 + 1 does not equal 2? It just means that, like, hey, if I teach you this strategy, if this is me and this is my strategy, it's not always going to result in 2. It's not going to always result in the same result for every single person. It worked for me, but it may not work for you. And so what's better is not to be linear about this, but try to go non-linear and teach you the actual how I came up with the strategy. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. And it's good to be back, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It was a bit abstract, but I tried to make it as non-abstract as possible. And yeah, much love, guys. I'll see you in the next video tomorrow. Ciao.